Good evening, and welcome to our Diversity at Emerson webinar. My name is Madeline Ryan, and I am an Associate Director of Admission and one of the coordinators of intercultural recruitment at Emerson. I'll pass it on to my colleague, Rafael.
Good evening. So nice to meet you. My name is Rafael Trujillo. I'm an Emerson alum. Did my undergrad in journalism, and I'm currently an assistant director for intercultural recruitment. I mostly work with students in Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, New Mexico, Florida, Mexico, Central America, and South America. So it's a pleasure to see you here. Congratulations, and we hope that we can answer as many of your questions today. Josue wants to go next.
Yeah, I can introduce myself. Hi, my name is Josue Velasquez. I'm from Los Angeles, California. I'm a junior here at Emerson, and yeah, I work for the school as a diversity outreach intern. It's a really nice position, and I'm happy to be here today.
Hi, my name is Sophie. I am a junior VMA major at Emerson, and I'm also a diversity outreach intern, and I'm really excited to be here. Congratulations all on your acceptance. And I hope to see you here at Emerson in the fall.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jade Carter Smalley. I'm the Assistant Director of Student Success, Access, and Belonging. And I can just give you a quick gist of what student success is, because I'm sure you're hearing it and you're like, well, what even is that? So we're an office on campus that we do a lot of things. Our main thing, though, that I do is we provide access to students on campus. We kind of make them feel like this is a place for them. We run programming, so we do a First Gen Fridays once a month. That is a big thing. We have First Gen Day. That is a big celebration. And then we also have food initiatives. So sometimes students can't make it to the grocery store, or they've used all their meal plans and they just need a few things to get them to the end of the week. We have a food pantry. They can grab canned goods. There are also like macaroni and cheese options, ramen, like anything that you can make quick and on the go that I know students love. That is an option. We also have a student assistant fund, which really comes in handy when students are struggling, which is, I mean, it's the likelihood of college. It is very expensive and things are not always readily available. So sometimes emergencies come up. There's an application process that student will go through. They will let us know XYZ happened. Maybe can you help us buy books this semester? And we'll kind of make ends meet and figure out how we can help the student, whether it be giving them a small amount of money to buy those books, whether it be connecting them to other resources such as financial aid. And then we also have an iGrad, which if you do come to Emerson, you'll be a member of, and then there's all different kinds of scholarships that we can connect you with. So that's a little bit of what I do in my day today.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Juanma. I use he, him pronouns, or él en español. I'm from San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I am the coordinator for intercultural student affairs. And I'm also an Emerson alum, similar to Rafa that we saw earlier. So at Intercultural, we host our cultural organizations, as well as we're a space that supports BIPOC and LGBTQ members of our community. So the Cultural Center is just a center for our BIPOC and LGBTQ students on campus to come and hang out, use it as a space to lounge, and as well as in the evenings, it becomes a event space for our cultural organizations. Some of our cultural organizations include Access, which is a student disability union, Amigos for the Latino community, Asia for Asian students, Chinese Student Association for our Chinese students, Eagle for our LGBTQ students, Ebony for our Black students, Flawless Brown for BIPOC femme identifying individuals, Skin Tones, which is a BIPOC exclusive a cappella troupe, Sathi, which is for our South Asian students, Theta, which is for non-binary or gender non-conforming students, and we have so much more. And if you want to create one, we're more than willing to work with you on making one, which is something super exciting if you don't feel identified with any of the ones that we already have. We also host 2 bookend events throughout the year, as well as some events in the middle of like throughout the year, starting off with a BIPOC pre-orientation, which is for our BIPOC students. It is a 2 to 3 day program before orientation that kind of gets you settled into Emerson and with the BIPOC community before the general population comes in, which really is a great opportunity for you to meet other people like you within your incoming class, to meet BIPOC staff, to meet the facilities, and kind of get settled before everything starts. And then at the very end of your time at Emerson, we host a cultural graduation, which is for BIPOC or LGBTQIA graduating students. And it's a big ceremony where you can invite your family and everything outside of the general commencement event, where BIPOC and LGBTQ students get exclusive regalia, as well as have a guest speaker, have a dinner, and hear some great music. We also do a bunch of community-based advocacy depending on what's happening around campus and what students are needing, as well as create digital and physical resources for students that they can use throughout their time at Emerson.
Wonderful. Thank you, all of you, for these introductions. And Garrison, our colleague in admissions as well, he's going to be the tech person and also help with sharing some great links in the chat box. So please make sure you reference those and save some before you log off today. So I did share the MConnect platform, which will be a great resource for you to learn about the various cultural organizations. You can see some of the programs that our students are able to participate in as well. So that's a really great resource as you are learning more. We had a lot of great questions about specific populations and the programming in support of those populations, just based on your racial and ethnic group affinities. And so hopefully that will be a great resource too for you. So we did have a great question in the Q&A about the BIPOC pre-orientation. So thank you, Wanma, for giving some more detail about that. But as I do get to work with our diversity outreach interns in our admissions office, I've connected with many students who have participated in this program, and everyone talks about how it's a great way for you to really find your community. As Wanma said, you're learning about Emerson, learning about campus, and kind of navigating the space on your own before the larger group of students come, but really also able to connect with and see other students, faculty, and staff who look like you, and be able to kind of identify and connect with them before you have to start your classes. So you have that village established in advance. So certainly encourage it when you do get the email invitations. So as you continue to submit questions through the Q&A, we'll answer those. It looks like we have another one, but I also have a full list of questions I can ask as well. So it looks like we have one here. What kind of activities will there be during pre-orientation? Will we be taking public transportation, or is it mostly on campus? So we'll answer this one live. Do we have any, Sophie or Josue, did either of you attend BIPOC Pre-O?
I participated in it and I've planned it, so I can answer on both ends. So I actually did it when I was a student at Emerson, and it was a great opportunity. I'm still friends with the people I met during BIPOC Pre-O. But in terms of types of events, so there's a kind of a mix of both. So we'll do events where we can take you to Black and Brown Boston, just so that you can meet beyond the Emerson campus. And for that, we'll do a variety of either public transportation, or we'll rent a bus or something that can take us to the location we're going to. But there's also a lot of events that we bring Boston, like Black and Brown Boston, to you, as well as just social events for you to meet other members of the community.
Great, thank you. And we'll start with another easy one. So could each of you speak to, or any of you who feel comfortable, could you speak to the reason that made you choose to either attend Emerson as a student or work at Emerson as a staff member?
Yeah, I can touch on that. So for me personally, if I'm just putting it out there, I honestly wasn't even like, right after high school, I was gonna go like straight into working. Like I wasn't really like, college wasn't really like a pathway for me at that exact moment, but because of how supportive admissions was during that whole process of mine, it was actually really surprising how supportive they were for me. And I guess I got the necessary support from admissions to the point where they really opened up college as a pathway for myself, who was financially like in the lower bracket of of all of these like kind of categories. So in terms of all that being considered, I really chose Emerson because of all the support that I was getting from admissions. And yeah, I mean, it was a really great experience, and I'm really happy that I have the opportunity to really say I come here. So yeah.
I can also speak to that. I think the reason why I chose Emerson is very different from the reason why I've stayed as well. So I can touch on both. I also really needed to go to a school that was going to offer me financial help. I didn't want to graduate in debt. And I did not have enough money to afford most colleges. And Raphael, thank you for your help because he really helped me out with the scholarship stuff, and admissions was really supportive with that. And I was fortunate enough to be able to come here, and this was the school that offered me the largest scholarship. And aside from that, it just has a really good film program, which was the big draw. But the reason I've stayed is because of the community that I've found here and the amazing people that I've met, especially through this job that we work. We get to really immerse ourselves in a group of people that we understand each other, and my coworkers are like my best friends. So I feel really lucky to have that and to have such a good community of people at this school that are really supportive and that understand like my experiences, and we're able to just talk about what it's like to be at a PWI and really connect with each other, and that's been really special.
Yeah, and I can kind of touch on it from working here aspect. So I come from an HBCU, so like when I started my trajectory and decided I wanted to go into higher education, it was interesting because I didn't know what it was going to be like. But I will say that Emerson is they're very progressive. They really care about what students need and where they can meet them at. And that was really important to me when picking a place to work, because I needed to know that my values kind of aligned with where I was going to be moving forward. And I really have found that in Emerson.
Yeah, and I can actually speak on it on both ends, as a student and as a staff member. So I think when I was touring schools, everyone told me you'll know when you see it. Well, you'll know when you get there. And when I got to Emerson, I knew. It was kind of this feeling that I really can't explain. But I invite you all, if you have the opportunity to come and see campus. I think it's one of the things that really makes a campus or not, or a college or not just for Emerson, but any college you're considering, since it is a really big thing that you'll know when you feel it. And in terms of working at Emerson, I had not finished my time at Emerson. I wanted to continue to serve Emerson, and improve Emerson in whatever ways I could. And I had found my community, and I wanted to stay.
Great. Thank you, all of you, for sharing some additional insight. We do have a few more questions that we will answer live. So do Emerson BIPOC centers connect with other centers outside of the school for resources, or is it its own thing? So Juanma, if you don't mind starting with that one, please.
Yeah. So it really depends on the situation. So we sometimes do work with other intercultural departments at other colleges, or intercultural equivalent departments at other colleges. But I will say it's not something that happens often. Our cultural orgs do tend to work with other cultural orgs at other colleges more. I know that Amigos, one of the orgs I advise and I was a part of when I was a student, collaborates a lot with other colleges around the city, particularly Harvard, BU, BC. I think they've even collaborated with groups at schools in Waltham, like Bentley and Babson, which is something super cool. They actually did a party with, I believe it was 11 other colleges, and they had over 1,000 students on the BU campus, but it was a collab event from all the campuses so that all the Latino students from the city could meet each other in one place.
Thank you guys. Sorry about the technical difficulties here. So sorry about that. And so then we also have some questions about where the Intercultural Center is located on campus. So maybe some students that have been able to visit, or for those students that when they get to campus, they have a better idea.
I can answer that. So it's on Tremont Street. It's called 172, and the cultural center is on the 4th floor, and the whole building is amazing. I love it there. I'm there all the time. There's a community kitchen in that building as well, and I've baked cookies in there so many times. And I've made so many friends while baking cookies there so many times. But yeah, the cultural center is lovely. It's very easy to get to. It's on There's like 2 blocks that are basically Emerson, and it's on just one of those streets. So I hope I explained that well. I'm not the most directionally smart person.
It's great. Thank you, Sophie. And so Jade, could you speak to us a little bit more? We have a question about whether Emerson has Greek life on campus, and specifically Greek life for BIPOC students.
Yeah, so Emerson specifically does not have like any D9s, but Boston does have all D9 chapters. So you can find Delta, you can find AKAs, you can find IOTAs, and that's all like Boston chapters. But it isn't just for Emerson. So you could be doing the process with someone from all the campuses around the city.
Yeah, and we have students at Emerson that are part of the Greek organizations of the Divine Nine. I think we currently have about 10 students at Emerson that are in the D9s around the city, which is super cool. And my boss is in one of the D9s. I think some people in admissions are in the D9s. So something I didn't expect when I started at Emerson, but definitely a community that you can find if you're interested in it.
Great, thank you. So please do continue to submit questions in the Q&A. I'm just using the questions that I have at this time now. So what are some of the ways that you have gotten involved in the community around Boston? So both when you were a student, and then it looks like Sophie's also volunteered to answer this question as well.
Yeah, I love the Boston restaurant scene. There's a lot of ways that was like my biggest thing. When I was homesick, I was like, damn it, I miss food. I miss food that's not American food. So I just did like a whole restaurant tour of Boston, and we're also right by Chinatown, which is really awesome. There's even I think like a Palestinian owned restaurant that has really good breakfast food. So there's a really big cultural food scene here, and I think that's how I've like mostly immersed myself during my time here. I also go to concerts a lot, so I love Latin music. That I would go to concerts in Miami. I'm from Miami. I would go to concerts all the time, and I've been to so many amazing concerts here, and it's just really cool to be able to hear everybody in the room screaming and singing in Spanish. So I've seen some really good artists. I've seen Carlos Vives, Morat, like literally people that I've loved my whole life growing up. And yeah, Boston has a really great music scene too. There's always people coming and performing here. So I know there's lots of artists of lots of different backgrounds that come as well. And those are just ways I've immersed myself in the city. Oh yeah, come look for me if you need cookies. Raphael, just put that in the chat.
So for those of you who aren't familiar, Emerson's also located in the theater district. So we are surrounded by the arts. And then with your Emerson ID, you'll either get a student discounted rate to a lot of venues and shows, or even free tickets, depending on the venue and how popular the event is. So certainly take advantage of that. Go to the concerts, go to the live shows, go to the see the performances. Certainly that's one of the great benefits of being in a large city like Boston. Okay, and I see
They put on a Cuban play last year somewhere. I remember I couldn't make it because I was on set, but everybody was texting me about it. They were like, Sophie, there's a Cuban play. And I was like, I'm so sad I can't go. But if they ever do one again, I'm there.
Wonderful, thank you. And so we have another question here. So what LGBTQIA+ organizations are at Emerson to support students, and how can one get involved?
Yeah. So my department oversees our LGBTQIA+ organizations. We have two student-run organizations and then one that is division-run, so by my office. So we have Eagle, which is for anyone that falls under the LGBTQIA+ umbrella, as well as Theta, which is for gender nonconforming or non-binary students in the college. And then we have the Lavender Community Council, and that is just a group of staff, faculty, and students that kind of work in the college to make the LGBTQ scene bigger within the college. And I would say that even before that group existed, Emerson is a very big LGBTQIA+ campus. Boston is a super safe city, as well as the campus for LGBTQIA+ students. So if you hold any of those identities, Emerson is the right place for you.
Great, thank you, Wanma. So another question from a guest here this evening is, what job opportunities do first-year students usually have on campus? I can first speak to the resource that all admitted students can use. I believe it's once you've registered for your classes, you're able to log into our Emerge platform, which is like Emerson's version of LinkedIn. So you're able to connect with professionals who are looking to hire you, whether it's for an internship, a summer position, even as you're graduating, full-time position. We also have our great alumni network. So the Emerson Mafia are great in helping you be connected to the industry, finding jobs, internships. So those are some of just the resources that all Emerson students and alumni will have access to. And then Sophie or Josue, do either of you feel comfortable speaking about kind of your process as you were seeking out job opportunities?
Yeah, I can touch on it real quick. So there is also this application called Handshake. I'm not sure if it works with Emerge, or I'm not sure what the whole process is, but I certainly find myself using Handshake sometimes. So there was this instance where I believe it was I don't recall what the organization was specifically called, but they were offering a job opportunity for college students to educate like elementary children during like the summer or the spring or something. So it was a really good opportunity to take advantage of. It was very like tutoring services, etc. And so that was an opportunity that I had gotten through Handshake, which was really great. As far as like when it comes to like getting job opportunities, etc., I would say definitely that's how I've managed to get around.
Handshake is my best friend in the entire world. I set up my profile. It took me maybe 30 minutes. I put my resume in. I put in all my information. There's even a way that you can put all of the information you have on LinkedIn onto your Handshake. So it's super simple. And I applied to 8 internships this morning in 10 minutes with Handshake. So it's really, really awesome. There's also a lot of on-campus employment opportunities, and I would recommend that you get on that like as soon as possible, because those jobs they're in high demand. Everybody wants to work on campus. It's really awesome to work on campus because they work with your schedule and you can go to your job in between classes and stuff like that. So it's really flexible and really good. There's an application called Workday where they do all the listings, and the earlier that you apply, the better. I don't know when you guys would have access to Workday, but there's also a career fair that you can go to when you get to Emerson, and they'll guide you on how to apply. There's jobs in so many different areas with so many different skill sets. So I would just really recommend keeping an eye out if that's something that you would like to do. I think it's something that you should jump on as soon as possible. I know that I was applying really early on, like in the summer, my sophomore year, and that's how I got this job. I was like, I need to be one of the first applications, and then it was kind of confirmed that that's how it works. People just look at them as they come in. So I would really recommend applying as fast as you can.
I also always encourage my students to take a look and do some research when they're looking at all the postings, because often you'll find similar jobs that are requiring you or asking you to do similar things, but maybe the salary is going to be different. So again, make sure that you're really advocating for yourself and finding the job that's going to work best with your schedule, but also pay the most. So that's just another key point. So one of the other questions we have is, can you share more about your experience as a BIPOC student attending a PWI and living in Boston, or I'll say a BIPOC staff member living and working in Boston as well?
Yeah, I can touch base with that as well. So it was definitely like, what's the term? I believe it's called a culture shock, when you feel like you're in a new space and you sort of feel like you don't really, or belong in a sense. At least for myself, my community is full of Latinos where I come from. So it's certainly I feel more comfortable, well, I felt more comfortable being in that space. So when I first came to Emerson, it was definitely like a very, very disorientating experience. And so it was really just me just trying to figure out like where I belong is in this entire space. But Emerson really made it like nice for me to really adjust very quickly. But yeah, I'd definitely say that I experienced culture shock. Yeah, but yeah.
I had a similar experience. I grew up in Miami. I was surrounded by Latinos. I like really love my community, and when I got here I went into really big culture shock, and I really tried to go to events with amigos when I first got here, but because I'm so involved in film stuff it gets really busy, and that kind of started to eat up my whole life. But I did meet a lot of, and not like an overwhelming amount, but I met a good amount of Latinos that I've become friends with, and it's been really nice to have that. But it has also been really nice to open myself up to other perspectives and meet people from different backgrounds, because my school was so predominantly Latino that that was kind of all I was exposed to for a really long time. And now I have friends of all different backgrounds, and it's been really nice.
Yeah, I think from when I talk to students and in the work that I do, I really think that it's about finding your people, finding the people that can advocate for you as well. So finding staff members that care about you and care about making sure that you do feel like you belong and that you do have access to all the things that other students have. And just knowing that you will find your people and they are here. But you kind of just have to put yourself out there, and you have to be willing to ask questions and to have conversation that maybe you wouldn't have to have if you weren't in a PWI environment, but know that it is for the better in the long term.
I would also add too, I grew up in Arlington, so it's about 20 minutes or so outside of Boston. I was one of just a handful of Black students in my community, or BIPOC students from kindergarten all the way through 8th grade. So I often did feel like the minority in spaces where, maybe we're learning about history or conversations were being discussed around me. It was challenging at times, but I will say at Emerson, a lot of the students and even faculty and staff really will encourage this, have learned to find their voices. And through that empowerment in kind of finding their voice, finding safe spaces where you can speak up and share your unique lived experiences, I think there's really great power in that. So definitely, even if speaking up isn't a skill set or something that's really a comfort of yours at this time, know that you're going to be coming to an environment where they encourage that, they foster those spaces, and so that will allow you to feel like you're able to connect with the larger community. You'll be able to connect with others from similar backgrounds or cultures as your own as well. Okay, we have a lot of questions coming in, so I'll make sure to jump back to these. Let's see. Emerson has a strong film program. What kind of filming opportunities or student organizations are offered at Emerson?
I got you. So yeah, it's an amazing program. I feel so lucky to be a part of it. There's a lot of opportunities. We have 3 major film organizations: Emerson Independent Video, Frames Per Second, and NBS, which is the broadcast TV society. We have two amazing sound stages, and I was lucky enough to be able to take a studio TV class in one of them, where I learned how to use every single piece of equipment in a control room, and I learned how to operate cameras, how to use a lighting grid, which I I don't know how much I retained of that, but I tried. And I've also done a lot of field work with EIV. And independently, because students are always putting on productions independently as well. There's an Instagram account called Emerson Crew Calls and another Instagram account called Emerson Auditions if you're interested in acting or being a part of a film crew. And people post a bunch of opportunities on there to get involved outside of your classes, because within your film classes, you'll be able to get your hands on equipment and actually make things. But I've learned the most from the experiences I've had outside of class and really immersing myself in the film culture at Emerson and getting to work with older students as well who have had more of an opportunity to really learn how to use all kinds of equipment and who have, at the time when I was a freshman, I met a lot of people who had already had internships in the industry and had worked on SNL and NBC. And I was like, that's crazy. So it was really eye-opening and I got to learn a lot. So I definitely recommend when you get here, just go out for as many projects as you can and really try to immerse yourself in the culture of film because you will learn so much.
Great, thank you, Sophie. And so let's see, can anyone speak to this? What are the dorm options for incoming transgender students? Excuse me.
I can speak briefly on that. My understanding is that Emerson has an application within the dorm application that you can pick whether you want gendered housing or non-gendered housing. And most transgender folks that have come through the office usually pick non-gendered. So it tends to be kind of a mix of people that don't really have a want for either or are usually pretty open to any experiences that you've had, as well as depending on needs, you can also request, if accessibility needs are a thing, you can request for singles, which are an opportunity that you can have. And all dorms in the freshman building has both male and female dorms, as well as a gender non-conforming bathroom that those that don't identify with male or female or just need more privacy would want to use. That's also an opportunity for students as well. And every floor has one of those.
Yes, thank you, Emma. And then all first-year students will be living together in the little building. So it's one of our buildings right there on Boylston Street, kind of in the hub of campus as well. So it's another great way for you to really transition and to find students both inside and outside of your majors to connect with as well. So let's see, how active is the Muslim Student Association at Emerson?
Yeah, so there's another question in terms of religion life too, so I'll answer that one as well. So I'm imagining you're Muslim, so happy Eid. I know that it was yesterday, but yeah, so our MSA is actually super active at Emerson. I was actually super surprised because when I was a student, I really didn't see so many Muslim students, but once I started working at the Cultural Center, I really saw how large the community was at Emerson. And a bunch of the people in our student team are Muslim students. So that has been a great opportunity for me to also learn about that religion. And you also asked about suhoor and iftar. So we also do host suhoor and iftar. We have every Friday, we have an iftar at night hosted by the MSA. I think the largest one this semester had about 40 students come, which was super cool. And we do have a Muslim chaplain as well. Her name is Umber Hai. She's amazing. I think the video is on YouTube. If you Google MSA Emerson or Ramadan Emerson, you should be able to see a video on Ramadan from the Emerson community, which was super cool. And then they also do have other events throughout the semester, but I do think that they are usually most active during Ramadan. And then for the Christian community, so I know most of these answers because the Center for Spiritual Life is the door next over from our office. So we work really closely with them. So we have a Christian fellowship, which is also pretty active. And I believe they meet on Wednesday nights. But that shifts, and we also do have a Christian chaplain that works specifically with our Christian fellowship. So also a pretty active organization. And I know that during Holy Week, they were really active as well.
Thank you, Juanma. So I think this is a great fitting question as we're bumping up towards the end of the webinar tonight. As we have Sophie, Josue, Juanma, myself, and also Jada. So how was the experience coming out of state? Boston is a really unique area. I think, and I want to speak for most of us, we've been able to call Boston home one way or another, finding our people and our places within the city. So how has been that experience for you? And Sophie, I saw your assignment, so if you want to go first, and then I'll let everybody else jump in and speak about it, and happy to give a few commentaries as well on my end. But Sophie?
Yeah, so I'm coming from Florida. It's always sunny, it's always hot, and I was really nervous to brave the cold. I guess that's what everybody always asks me. They're like, "How do you do it?" You get used to it. Really. It's I would say that's probably like one of the easiest things to adjust to. Just get good clothes, get a great coat. That I invested in a great coat, and that really saved me. So now I just go everywhere with my coat. And if it's too hot, I take it off. If it's too cold, it protects me. I'm really close with my family, and being so far away from them, it's still hard. I'm a junior and it's still hard, but I think it's such an important experience for your growth to be able to leave home and become an independent person and figure out your own place in the world apart from everything that you've come to know growing up. I think it's like really important character development for everybody to leave their hometown. And I think it's one of the best decisions I've ever made was to leave and to go kind of far and really have to fend for myself and figure things out. And I found a really good support system in Emerson and in my friends. They've become my family. My roommate right now, she's my best friend in the world. She just made tostones. She's Puerto Rican. She gets me like nobody else gets me. And we met on the first day of school. So before you know it, you're gonna find your people and you'll develop a support system. And it is hard. I have my homesick days where I call my mom for 3 hours and just miss her. But I get homesick for Boston when I go back to Miami too. And I call my roommate and I cry for 3 hours when I don't get to see her that much. So it's like a second home. And you really do start to grow to really love it here. And yeah.
Yeah, I can jump in. I mean, I really agree with Sophia. I come from Los Angeles, so yeah, it's a big weather change, Except like I was just there like a few like weeks ago. It was like super rainy out there. It's crazy, but for the most part, it's really hot. So coming here to Boston, it's like obviously it's like a complete 180. It's like super cold out here sometimes. And for the most part, I mean, that used to like really get to me, but coming in as an out-of-state student, it's really just been an adjustment. The weather doesn't really get to me overall, but it's not the weather, it's not even about the weather, it's just about the community that you really like find here at Emerson. And I've had the opportunity and I've had the blessing to really just meet other BIPOC students that I feel really comfortable being myself around. And so to that extent, yeah, it's one of those situations where it's like when I'm in LA, I felt homesick in terms of, oh, I really want to go back to Boston. But now that I'm in Boston, sometimes I think to myself like, oh, I really want to go back to LA. So it's like they're both great places, and I'm just really happy to be here in the first place. So yeah.
Yeah, I think echoing what both of them were saying, the weather in Boston is definitely I think it is easy to adjust to, but it really does hit you that first year. I had a friend not from Emerson, but from another school that came in. The first thing he told me was get a good coat because a good coat will make or break the winter for you. And I kept my coat, like I still use it, and it's been 5 years. So do invest in it. I know it's a big hit at the beginning, but it'll last you a bunch of years. And there are student discounts. Now that you have an Emerson ID, you'll be able to show it anywhere and they'll give you student discounts, which is amazing. And I will say, once you also start finding your community here, it really does change how you experience the city. I know there weren't many Puerto Ricans with my class, but there were a lot of Latinos with my class. So I was able to make friends that, like, I went to Miami last week and I stayed with one of my friends that was from Venezuela and that I met here. And it's a community that you'll keep forever. And it's an amazing experience. And I think the biggest thing is that, and then food, depending on what type of food you love, you might be able to find a great place, but nothing beats a home cooked meal. I had friends that they had their parents make them a meal and then they would overnight a huge batch to the house, and that's how they kept the food running. I know that I think there's one or two Puerto Rican places in Boston, and I haven't really loved either. But when my mom comes, she makes food that lasts me forever.
Jay, you want to add anything else?
Student Success does have hats and gloves in the beginning of the winter. So if you don't have a great one, you know where to come. I'm from here, so that hasn't been an adjustment. It's just been kind of sucky forever, but there are things that make it better.
The summer really sells Boston to you, and then the winter comes. It's like amazing in Boston over the summer, and then winter comes and it's like horrible, and then summer comes again and you forget how horrible the winter was. It's really nice to see. And I don't have 4 seasons in Puerto Rico. It's always summer. It's amazing, lovely. So that was also super cool. If you've never seen the seasons, seeing all the seasons, fall, spring, winter, summer, it's amazing.
Yeah, I was gonna say winter comes with its good things. Like the first time I saw snow, it was crazy. Everybody was calling me Snowfie for weeks because I was so excited. I literally could not contain. I was like, guys, it is snowing. Like people could not believe how excited I was. So it is really magical. And still to this day, like the first time it snows, I'm freaking out and I'm so excited. But and then I get mad when it's slushy and gross.
My freshman year, when it started snowing, the teacher was like, "Class is over, we're going out," because she knew that students in the class had never seen snow, so we all went out and we went and saw the snow. And Maddie sent a message about fall really being super cool. Actually, when it's fall, you'll see there's so many tourists that come to Boston to see fall, and the leaves change colors. It's gorgeous. And if you drive or if you take the train, we have the commuter rail, you can go and get apple picking, you can do bonfires, apple cider donuts. It's
Oh my God.
amazing. And I think that's also a great thing about Boston public transportation. You can literally get anywhere. I went to New York with one of the orgs a month ago. And we all went, we did the whole thing, and it was super inexpensive, but also the school covered the costs, which was also a great opportunity for a whole BIPOC group to do.
There's also an app called Zipcar where you can actually rent a car as a student. It is pretty pricey. So what my friends and I do is we'll all go in on it together. And every fall we rent a car and we take a drive through New Hampshire to see the leaves because it's so beautiful there and it's really close. It's like an hour. So if that's something you want to do too, that's accessible and it's fun. And if you get a 5-seater and you split it amongst 5 people, it's not horrible.
Great tips. Josué, anything else you wanted to add? I saw you wanted to jump in.
Oh no, I was just gonna talk about the snow. I mean, yeah, I was really excited when I first saw snow too. But there is this time where there's like this big snow pile, and I was like so hyped about it. I was super excited. I'm like, guys, I'm gonna jump in there. So I jump in the snow pile, and then I go to the dining hall right after, and then it turns out that like my phone fell into the snow pile, and then I was at the dining hall for like 30 minutes, and I'm like, guys, like I don't know where my phone is. So I go outside and look at the snow pile, and because it was actually during a blizzard, the snow pile got like twice as big, and I spent like an hour just like digging through the snow trying to find it. So I don't know, I was just gonna throw that in there, but
Did you find it?
yeah, eventually.
Okay.
It was like right at the bottom. It's like the
Be
worst.
careful in the snow. Don't eat it either. One of my friends ate the snow in the common and I was like, what are you doing? And they got super sick. So don't eat the snow if you're from Florida and you think you can eat the snow, don't do it.
Tips and tricks to survive the season. But I love it. And I think that's, as Sophie said, the advantages of moving to a place completely different from home, that you get the experience of these things that otherwise you really will have not experienced at your current location. So thank you for sharing all those tips. I want to close with one last thing, and I think one of the most wonderful moments is creating memories, and those memories usually last with us a long time. So I'm gonna let you think for a second about a memory has been really meaningful during your time at Emerson. That it reminds you of the sense of community, of why you're here, and you probably will cherish this memory for the time coming. So if anyone wants to jump in, I'll let you jump in with that memory that comes to mind.
Yeah, I have two memories that come to mind about it, like a super special time at Emerson. I think last year, Amigos, which is a Hispanic org, celebrated 30 years, and we hosted a party at a gala. We hosted a gala, which was a party, and we brought live music. We had Hispanic food. We invited other Hispanic groups from other colleges in the area, and it was a great opportunity to meet alumni, to see other people in the space, and just celebrate as a community. And I remember like being there, and I was like, oh my gosh, this, like, for a second I forgot I was in Boston, because it felt just like being home. And I think the year after this, after COVID started dwindling down, we created the Cultural Carnival, which is an end of the year party at one of the nightclubs near campus. And it's a great opportunity for everyone in the college, particularly BIPOC students, to celebrate their identity. And that was also a great opportunity because the first year we had 250 people, the next year 350 people, and we're going to see how many we have this year. But it's also a super cool opportunity that really kind of filled my heart, seeing the entire Emerson community celebrating an identity that I hold, and seeing other people like me celebrating together, which doesn't happen often, which is also super nice.
Yeah, I can go next. So I help manage a scholarship program. They're called the Creative Scholars, and they are all BIPOC students. And one of them was applying for Global Pathways program and asked for an internship, and she got it. And then after she got it, she just really voice how thankful she was for us and for the work we do, and just how she wouldn't be where she is without us. And I think it was just such a clear, concise, like, oh yeah, this is why I do what I do. It was a reminder of like my work in my everyday, it really is for a reason. And at jobs, like, not everyone gets that, and I'm super thankful.
You mentioned Global Pathways, and that is actually my memory. I was lucky enough to do Global Pathways last summer, and I spent a month in Spain doing a screenwriting workshop. That was just one of the most incredible experiences I've had in my life, period. Like, not even just at Emerson. I had never been around, like, I'd never been to Spain, and I have a lot of family in Spain, so I was able to connect with a bunch of them, which was really cool. And I was able to eat so much amazing food, and I went with a lot of people. There was one other Hispanic girl, and we became like best friends on that trip. And we were just kind of helping everybody translate the whole time. But we all wrote scripts, and we got really close, because when you're writing like that, it tends to be pretty vulnerable. So we didn't even really party that much. It was just a lot of like walking around and enjoying the town that we were in, and laughing and being together. And I'm still friends with literally every single person that went on that program with me. It was really nice, and it was really cool to see how much all of them really embraced Hispanic culture, and just it was awesome. I really recommend doing it if you can.
Yeah, as for myself, I guess one of the core memories that I've had here at Emerson is during my freshman year, where, okay, so all of my friends during that period, like all were working on like their own like movies, like short films, etc. And I wasn't really like a movie guy, but I told myself like, yo, this seems like a lot of fun. So, I mean, maybe I should like spontaneously like just try to make a film, I think it'd be a lot of fun. And okay, so I think school was gonna end like, I think like in a month or something. So everyone was telling me, oh, you should just hold off on it, do it like next I think next semester. And then, but I thought to myself, like, no, I really want to working on it right now. So I would spend countless nights just nonstop working on the script, etc. And then my friend who, like, I was in a single, so like they were adjacent to me on the room next door. So yeah, that I knocked on their door and I asked them, like, hey, can you be like my executive producer? Because I really don't know what I'm doing. Like, I've never done this before, and they had experience, and they're like, yeah, you know what? Why not? So I remember, like, we were just like really like, you know, taking cracks at it and trying to make a film. And it was just a lot of, it really was just a lot of us just going around and trying to figure things out. And it was a really fun experience because right when it actually came down to filming the actual film, it was just chaotic, you know. We were just running around. It was a lot of props. I remember one of the scenes had to do with like a trash bag or like with trash or something. So like I needed like props. So like I was in my single and then I like kept like, I think it was like 9 trash bags in my room and I was sleeping in it. And dude, it was just a lot, but it was a really fun experience overall, you know. So you know, as chaotic as all things turned out, it did come together at the end of the day, and I got to meet a lot of people, and I got to have a lot of great experiences making the film, you know. And it was like 30 minutes long, you know. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and you know, that would definitely is like one of my like favorite memories for sure.
And he killed it. The movie's really good.
Well, thank you all for those wonderful memories that you cherish and they will be with you during your time at Emerson and once you leave. There was a last question on the chat that it was about how do students find out about the events on campus. So a lot of ours, we have NConnect with Mari mentioned earlier. We also have a flyer system on campus. So organizations or events that are happening, we have multiple walls on campus and people put flyers. So that's one of my favorite ways to find out what's going on campus. And the last one, some orgs are using Eventbrite, and to Eventbrite, you can RSVP for the events, see what events are happening on campus. There are multiple ways to find out. And if you're part of an organization and you're on their email list, they usually send a blast email announcing any specific events, field trips, anything that's going on. They'll make sure to let you know. So there's many opportunities to find out without, you know, counting Instagram and any other social media that the org might have. So there's multiple channels to be up to date on what's happening on campus. With that, I want to be cognizant of time and I want to say thank you and I appreciate all of the panelists today for taking a little bit of this evening in the East Coast to join us and share their experiences with us. I want to let you all know that this is just an introduction. This is not one and done. We'll be here for you. So if you have any questions, any follow-up that you want to learn more about, please reach out to the admission office. The email is admission@emerson.edu. If you want to chat with any of our peers in the different office, more than welcome to do that. If you want to learn more about, you know, Josue's adventures at Emerson and Sophie's, also reach out to us and we'll be happy to connect you with them. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it and we wish you a beautiful night.